Welcome back, everyone. In Mark chapter 9, we read, "After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became radiant, intensely white, as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. And Peter said to Jesus, 'Rabbi, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah.' For he did not know what to say, for they were terrified. And a cloud overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud, 'This is my beloved Son, listen to him.' And suddenly, looking around, they no longer saw anyone with them, but Jesus only." Mark is telling us a lot about the person of Jesus in this passage. Let's look at some of his Christology. Jesus' physical description suddenly looks like something from heaven, like this angel in Mark 16. However, the divinity of Jesus in the Gospels is now widely recognized in scholarship, and yes, even in Mark's early Gospel. So readers may wonder if Mark has something more in mind. Like all of the Gospel authors, Mark expects us to know the Old Testament. Perhaps we're to think of Psalm 104. "Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, you are very great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty, covering yourself with light as with a garment, stretching out the heavens like a tent." But we shouldn't only pay attention to Jesus' physical description. The Gospel authors frequently portray Jesus as doing things only God can do. Only God can calm the storm, declare the unclean clean, raise the dead, and save people from their sins. So we ask not only what Jesus looks like during the Transfiguration, but what he's doing. In what capacity is he acting? Moses and Elijah were both associated with the coming of the Messiah. That's obviously important since Jesus is the Messiah, and both of them are in this Transfiguration scene. But these two Old Testament figures also shared the rare privilege of God revealing himself to them on a mountain. In 1 Kings 19, after an impressive and no doubt intimidating display, God speaks to Elijah, who covers his face with his garment. In Exodus, God reveals some of his glory to Moses, also accompanied by natural or supernatural disturbances. And in both cases, God spoke, and when God speaks, especially in that sort of environment, you listen. And so in the Transfiguration in the Gospels, Moses and Elijah return to a mountain again, and this time, again, they meet Jesus, God the Son. So Jesus in the Transfiguration is cast in the same role as Yahweh in the Old Testament from what he's doing to his physical description. But the disciples aren't quite as experienced with these mountaintop theophanies as Moses and Elijah. And so Peter, speaking as he does for the others, speaks out of fear, for they were terrified. But when God speaks, you listen, just like Moses and Elijah in the Old Testament. And so the Father speaks, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." Mark tells us some very important things about Jesus here and elsewhere in his gospel. Jesus is clearly fully human and clearly fully God, sharing that same indivisible divine nature. This is what the Gospels and the rest of the New Testament tell us. But Mark also reminds us to listen to the Son, God's definitive revelation. Not only revelation in the sense of the words of God, but God's very nature, his love, his mercy, his justice. That's what Christ reveals. Listen to him. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.